Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. We got producer Sam once again behind the scenes for today's live show. We'll have some fun as we always do. If any super chats come in, we'll hit those, of course, as well as we give everyone a chance to click that notification and tune in for the live show. We'll be talking contract extensions during the rumors portion of today's show. And that does, of course, include Dak Prescott. I'm very curious how these votes all play out. As it sits right now, it's 65% yes in the pin poll, which is about what I thought it would be at. But do you want to extend Dak? Y for yes, N for no. You can vote in the comment section, and you can vote, please do, in the pin poll. I'm sure it won't lead to any mean comments whatsoever. I see yeses from Trey Dog, Way Cool Jr., Unitive. Ant Brown says don't pay him, he can do better. Toxic Tom Downey's Burner says yes. Luis says yes. Brokov, no. Only makes it to championship game. Barrett, Mo, Jamie, Arthur, Luis, R.S. Wart, Chris all say yes. Joshua Ramsey says yes. So in the early polls, or in the comments, I should say, along with Shane and Byrne and Jalen, it's a lot of yeses in there. Jay Twan says yes. Nick, Mike, Bruce, Brappin, XRB all say yes. Benito. But not very many no's in there. Ant Brown's one of them. But the polls, or the comments, I should say, is like, I'd say almost 80%, if not higher than that, yeses there. TKG says, let's see how he does this year. Up to 68% say yes. Maybe we can finish at 69%. Wouldn't that one be fun? So keep the comments coming. Y for yes, you want to extend Dak, and for no, you do not. Let's talk free agency. We'll spend quite a bit of time on that since there's not much else going on, if we're being honest, in the NFL right now. Name a free agent who you guys want to sign. I will give shout-outs as I look at the comments come in here in the studio side. Name a player you want to sign. Oh, Toxic Tom Downey's trolling immediately. It's a good one. That's a good troll there, Toxic. I appreciate that. He says Dez. I remember the days. I think maybe even 2 years ago we were still getting sign Dez comments and sign Earl Thomas comments. If we get $20 super chats, I will. Oh, it's doing the bouncing green screen thing again, Sam. Hate to see. I'll just turn around this way. There, it's fine. No sponsor. If we get $20 super chats, by the way, I will do shots. I'm not doing straight shots anymore for Earl Thomas. That got out of hand a few times. Now we got Eric Berry comments, too. A lot of Dalvin Cooks. A lot of DeAndre Hopkins. No surprise there. Jarvis Landry. Eric Berry. Sean Lee. And now we're just naming legendary Cowboys. Cook for cheap. Jeremy Sprinkle. There's a Cowboys legend for you. Dalton Risner. Myles Jack. Poona Ford has signed with the Bills, which I think is what Eli's referring to there, which would have been nice. Rico Gathers. There you go. Dalvin Cook. Myles Jack. Dalton Risner. But a lot of Dalvin Cooks and a lot of DeAndre Hopkins in there. Jeff Swaim, too, as we're getting ahead of the we'll get to Cowboys Legends later, I promise you. It is National Candy Month. So what is your favorite? I should have done, yeah, we'll do fair. I should have done least fair. That would have been more fun. But what is your favorite candy? Drop those answers for me in the comment section. I'll continue to give shout-outs here on today's live show. Favorite candy? Snickers, great choice there, Taco Eater. Skittles, also a good one. Milky Way, not my favorite, but it's solid. Reese's, easy elite choice. M&M's, I get it, not my favorite. I'm not a huge chocolate guy, but it makes sense. Twix is solid. Go to jail, talk to Tom Downey burner account. Reese's Butterfingers, okay. Cinnamon glass candy from JT in the house. I think we've asked this question before. First time I've seen that answer. Sour Patch Kids, good choice. Gummy bears. I love all flavors of gummy bears. They're delicious. And Sour Patch Kids kind of fits in that gummy category that I like. Hi Chew, underrated. Solid. Payday, it's fine. Lifesaver gummies, those are quality. Barrett says candy sucks. Wow. There you go. Peeps from Brokov, but he's got like a troll emoji in there. So good answer. Good answer. Mint chocolate. Okay. Three Musketeers peppermint patty. I do like Kit Kat. TKG and Turnover Boys. I do like it. It's not the best. Like, I'd rather have Reese's, but I tend to be more of a sugary candy guy than a chocolate candy guy. Milky Way, Hershey's, Big League Chew. That was a go-to in baseball. J.T. Piper says I didn't have a good childhood. What do you mean I didn't have a good childhood? Are you talking to somebody else? Candy corn from Gabe Flores. I actually don't mind candy corn, but it's definitely not my favorite. That's insane. Airheads, underrated. Hershey's, Sunkissed Fruit Gems. I don't know if I've had those, actually. Zero Bar. Okay. Fun Dip is a throwback one. Oh, okay. JT Piper. I see what you're saying now. I get it. Jolly Rancher and TC915. Definitely can't say that one on air. Now, we will spend the other time, the end of today's show, I should say, breaking down some defensive breakout candidates for the Dallas Cowboys. So name a player, defense only, who you think breaks out this year. I will, again, give the shout-outs on today's show. I think I'll see a very common Sam Williams. I think that'll be a very popular answer on that one there. Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, 10X from David Holden. I think that's an obvious one. Unitive says Cox out. Great answer. Spam Cox out anytime you want. Barrett says Micah. I don't know how much more you can really break out. He's already like a great player. Deron Bland. Got an Isaac Alarcon in there. Damone Clark. Mozzie Smith. I don't include rookies on this list because that's less of a breakout and more of just an arrival, the way I view it there. Deron Bland, Sam Williams, Israel Mukwamu, good call there. Deron Bland, LVE, some more Mozzie Smith. You guys can type in the first-year guys if you want because it's your answers, not mine. Damone Clark, Stephon Gilmore, Osa, Clark, Jabril Cox, and Brent Workman says F. Marshy in the comments, too. I love that as well. You can always type in F. Marshy in the live chat, and I will always appreciate that. I'm gonna get a little screenshot of that, send it to Marshall. He'll find it funny. If I can gotta pause the live chat to get it to actually. There we go. Defense only, so you guys are mentioning some offensive names there. And now we got F. Chugs is in there, too. It's incredible. I love you guys. And never change. Malik Hooker, Jabril Cox, some more Sam Williams, Mozzie Smith, etc. So keep the defensive breakout candidates coming. And while you answer that, how confident are you in this Cowboys defense this year? 1 to 10. 1, of course, is the low end. You think it's going to be massive regression. They're going to be terrible. It's going to be some of those recent Dak, now the past couple of years, some of the Romo years, defenses where they're just terrible. You're scoring 30 points a game and losing. It's been an issue in the past. 10 being they're going to allow 12 points a game and win everything. 9, 6, 9, 9.6, 6.5 out of 7, 8, 69, 6.9, solid 8, 9.5, 6.9, 8.5, 10, 8.5, 10, 8, 6.9, 8, 9.7, 9, 6.9, 9, and 6.9. We have cultivated a culture of 69 jokes here at the Cowboys Report, and I'm immensely proud of that. Now, if you are ready for today's show to get started, show it by liking the video right now. We have 180-ish people watching. Our goal is always be at 50% like rate. It's really not even that high. It just means half of you have to like it. It should be the first thing you do when you click on the video because it's good to be in the habit. Then I don't have to ask for as many likes, etc. So help us out. Like the video. When you do it, you'll see it more often. And it will tell YouTube that, hey, this stuff is good. We should show it to more people from YouTube's perspective. Then we get to continue to grow and build the studios and office out the way we are right now as we continue to expand here at Chat Sports. So help us out. Like the video. And in the words of Barrett B49, like the video. And the Cowboys will beat the Eagles twice this year. See, Barrett gets it. He understands the whole thing. So like the video for me right now. We're at 170 people watching, and we can't even get to 70 likes. That makes me very sad on the inside. So like the video, and we will get today's show started. Which, by the way, Sam says he sees 69 on his screen, which I also see on mine as well. So we at least got to the meme number, which makes me happy. Ooh, I like Toxic Tom Downey's. I think I'm going to use that one, Toxic. That's a good one. Hit the like button or Rowdy steals your girlfriend. Rowdy is a plague upon the Dallas Cowboys franchise. So I appreciate that. I think we will use that one at some point. Talk that. I like that one a lot. That's really good. That's really good reason to like the video. All right, coming up on today's live show, Cowboys rumors and news. Cowboys breakouts on defense only. Looking at 5 free agents who could start for the Cowboys right now. I limited myself to one per position, which I got creative on maybe the 5th one there. And we'll have a mailbag answering all of your questions here. So use hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat, $20, and I'll do a shot for any supers of that price tag. All coming up live right here on the Cowboys Report. Welcome into the Cowboys Report. It's your boy Tom Downey rocking a Roan Polo, part of the Commuter Collection. It's a fantastic line of products. Get 20% off your order at roan.com/chatsports. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Let's break down some rumors, beginning with this. The Athletic, my guy Johnny Matches, put together the top 6 extension candidates for the Cowboys in order. Dak Prescott was number 1, which we'll go into in depth here. CeeDee Lamb and Diggs were 2 and 3. We spent time on those guys. We'll pass over them for today's purposes. Terence Steele was 4. We'll look at him later on. Tony Pollard at 5. We went in depth with him on a recent video. Micah was 6 because Micah can't sign an extension until next year, so that's the right spot for Micah. But Prescott was number 1, which I know will be controversial because he plays Cowboys quarterback. And that job is always controversial unless you just won a Super Bowl. That's kind of the nature of it. As an aside, I think it would have been really cool to be doing this show during the Troy Aikman-Steve Walsh battle. That would have been incredible. But, of course, I was super young at that time, so it didn't really work out there. But back to the topic at hand, the Athletic had Prescott as that number 1 priority. And when we went through my most important contract list, I had Dak number 1 as well because it's the quarterback, it's expensive. So let's break down what the current contract looks like for Dak Prescott since he signed that extension. Dallas has kept the cap hit very manageable, as contenders should do. $17 million, just under 20, $26 million and change this year, but then it balloons. $59 million, and a massive void year of $36 million. An extension probably wouldn't bring down this year's cap hit significantly, but it would drastically drop the 2024 number and balance the 2025 number. And that is regardless of how much you pay. Remember, he's getting $40 million a year, and he has not yet hit even $27 million per year because of the way the Cowboys have structured the contract. And that's the smart way to do things. You saw how aggressive the Eagles were with the Hurts structure because they had the benefit of the cheap years left, which Dallas did not have because they did not handle the extension very well, this time last year. The question I have is, what does the number really look like? I don't really want to make Dak the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I get Lamar and Hurts did, but I'd like to keep that number. It's fine if it's closer to 50 than 40, but I want to keep it under 50 if I can. And I do know this. I'm not going to get caught up in the $2 million per year price tag difference because if the Cowboys are smart, they will structure it the way they have been doing it. And they will keep the cap hit low, and we can all get concerned over the sticker shock of the contract, but the structure of it will be much more manageable, and you can continue to build the roster out around him. We're going to go more in depth on some of my thoughts and why I think we should all have an answer by now on this one. Whether we agree or disagree, that's fine. Do you want to extend Dak Prescott? Y for yes, N for no. It is today's pinned comment. Don't be too mean at the pinned comment. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, go vote. Y for yes, N for no. I see 2 viable paths right now for Dallas. Anything else in between is a half measure that I don't think will work very well. Path number 1 is extend Dak Prescott, pay him the $48, whatever the number is, $1 million per year, keep the cap hit down, and try to win football games. You've actually been a really good football team as long as Dak and Romo have been healthy and your quarterbacks. Haven't been quite good enough, but there's a lot of room to fall behind that. The alternative is if you just don't think it's ever going to happen, then you dump Dak and you embrace at least a reset, if not a rebuild, which I don't think Jerry wants to do, but that's how you have to handle it. Because it doesn't make sense to move on from Dak and then get a worse quarterback and try to maybe save a little bit of money. That was the whole Andy Dalton conversation. I prefer path number one. I'll keep my top 10 quarterback. I'll try to win football games. I'll try to make it to the damn championship game for the first time since I can remember. Knowing it's not easy, but also knowing you've been not very far behind several times in recent years. Now, today's show is made possible by Roan. You guys can get 20% off your order, including but not limited to the polo I'm wearing right now, part of their commuter collection, when you go to roan.com/chatsports. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. They have pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos like I'm wearing right now. You never have to worry about what you're going to wear thanks to the Roan commuter collection. They have comfortable four-way stretch fabric, brings you breathability and flexibility, leaves you free to enjoy whatever life ends up throwing your way from your commute to work. 18 holes of golf. I wore golf the other day. Is it the reason why I finished Eagle Birdie? I don't know. People are talking. They have wrinkle release technology and Gold Fusion anti-odor technology to keep you looking and smelling fresh all throughout the day. The commuter collection gets you straight through any workday and into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/chatsports and use promo code chatsports for 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your order when you go to RHONE.com/chatsports and you use code chatsports. Links in the comment section and the description of today. Find your corner office comfort with Roan. Let's go to another maybe more controversial extension, or at least not a cut and dry. It's not like the Lamb extension where we all want to do it because duh, right? Terence Steele was number 4 on that athletic list. He's come off torn ACL, but he played really well when he was healthy. And when he went down, the Cowboys, I thought, really missed him out there on the football field. Like, they did not run the ball nearly as well. Without Terence Steele, the offense struggled. The ground game, which is not a new thing, it's done it 2 years in a row, really had problems effectively running the football without Terence Steele. I think his PFF run grade is reflective of how well he has done as a run blocker. He's come a very long way from a not good start to his NFL career for Terence Steele. 1 sack allowed, 4 hits, 15 hurries. He has gotten better each year, and at minimum, Terence Steele is a starting caliber tackle. And those guys are not easy to find. That's why guys like Connor McGovern, who we were like, he's fine, got $7 million per year. Now, there is a bit of a gap in the highest paid right tackle market, which I think is where you got to look at for Terence Steele. I don't think he's going to command the big-time free agent money. Jawan Taylor got $20 million, and I actually might argue Terence Steele, I don't think he's going to command that money on the open market. I don't think. Mike McCarthy got 17.5. Then there's a gap from 17 at Taylor Motton to 15 for Jack Conklin, down to 11.5 for Rob Havenstein and Caleb McGarry. Maybe somewhere in that 9th to 7th range is where Terence Steele could potentially check in if it gets done this year or next year at some point. Maybe the Cowboys try to gamble on the cheaper deal, bouncing back from injury, which, hey, that did not work out for Michael Gallup. If you still have your scar tissue from it, I understand. So do you want to pay Terence Steele? It's P for pay or W for wait. I get the pros and cons of both. It's not, I don't think, a crystal clear, cut and dry decision. So go ahead and answer for me in the comments. Bleacher Report put together 3 free agents the Cowboys must consider, was their terminology. It was Shelby Harris, Deion Jones, and Ezekiel Elliott. Now, we're going to go in depth on Jones and Harris because we've talked about Ezekiel Elliott. I don't really think we need to spend more time on that today. We've talked about it before. If you haven't watched our videos, you guys need to be subscribed. We're trying to get to 157,000 subscribers. We need 771. Give or take, the number will ebb and flow depending on what day you are. It'll keep going up, I guess, from that perspective. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit that sub button for me right now. Let's begin with Shelby Harris. Now, their argument, they were focused in on, they drafted Mozzie Smith, but you need to have another defensive piece up front because Mozzie might not be ready, which I don't agree with. Also called him a consistent playmaker. And that was true, although he wasn't the same caliber of player this past year. Now, he's been on a 6 sacks, 2-ish sacks, 6 sacks, 2-ish sacks streak, so maybe he's due for 6. We're not that far removed from me saying I would like Shelby Harris as a potential Cowboy addition, but it's not really where they're at this stage. I think between Osa, Mozzie, Chauncey, Fehoko, Gallimore, Hankins, Bohanna even, I think there's enough depth at the defensive line that it's not a huge area of concern for Dallas. So I would actually pass on Shelby Harris. Then there's Deion Jones, who, of course, has the Dan Quinn familiarity factor there. Only 28 years old. I am very curious to see what his market ends up looking like. And, again, the Bleacher Report was acknowledging the recent draft picks, DeMarvion Overshown. Their big argument is DeMarvion Overshown, his size can't hold up against the run. He's not big enough because they first off claimed he was 220. Well, he showed up at 229, so I think you're okay there. Also, Deion Jones is 227, so the argument of weight kind of goes out the window for me. But if you are worried about your youngsters, Overshown, Clark, Cox, Harper, a veteran in Deion Jones could start to make some more sense for the Dallas Cowboys from that perspective. So that's where I'm at. I think Deion Jones makes more sense than Shelby Harris, given the needs and the age and the potential impact. Although I don't know if either is a must-consider. I was kind of shocked they didn't go with a kicker on that list. So pick one to sign for me. SH for Shelby Harris or DJ for Deion Jones. You guys can vote. No wrong answers. It's just your opinion. Head down to that comment section and pick one that you think the Dallas Cowboys should go out and sign in free agency before training camp, of course. ESPN put together the top 10 or the top playmaking units across the NFL. They actually ranked all 32 teams. Here are the top 10 they had. We talk about it because the Cowboys check in at number 7. The Niners were 1, Bengals 2, Eagles 3, Seahawks 4, Chargers 5, Vikings 6, and then Dallas. A little surprised over Miami, frankly. Which I don't hate. I would say Dolphins have a better top 2 with Waddle and Hill, and then a bit thin beyond that. Jacksonville was 9, Atlanta 10. So I think Dallas at 7, I think that feels about right. You know, Minnesota's invested some premium draft capital in playmakers. They might have been higher than not just cut Dalvin Cook because it's just Alexander Madison, right? Dallas is in pretty good shape overall. I think better than what they were last year when they made some self-inflicted wounds, I'll call it there. Where would you rank the Cowboys playmakers on offense? That's wide receiver, running backs, and tight ends only. Quarterbacks do not count. It's just your skill guys. Where would you rank them? Is 7 right? Is it a little too high? Little too low? Go ahead and vote for me in the comments. Here's how I break it down for the Cowboys on offense. Now, I'll put Lamb in the slot. That's where he plays most of his snaps in the end. Cooks as receiver 1. If you get back to prime Gallup as wide receiver 2 and or you get elite Cooks again, 7 might be too low. With where it sits right now, I kind of think that's about right. The running back room, I'm a big guy. I'm big on Tony Pollard. The depth's a little bit shaky. I think Dallas will be fine at tight end in terms of the balancing with what they have. I think they'll be able to fill out with their depth, which I think overall is pretty solid. All right, some shout-outs now on this question. Where would you rank the Cowboys playmakers? 5, 6, 5, 7, 7, 8, 9, 7. So for the most part, it's all in a similar area. In that, as high as 5 from Vince, as low as 9. Taco Eater says 1. I would not rank them number 1 myself. Joseph says 69 because it's funny. Luis Rodriguez, Steven Sanchez both say 8. Unitive says 6 to 7. Amir says 7. Let me sip some water here while some more. Hope I don't. Those of you who don't know, before live, I took a sip of water and it was like a big air bubble, and I coughed for 3 minutes straight before the air. Didn't do it this time though. Top 8 from Brokov, 6 from Eli Aaron. That's honestly about as of a consensus as I think we'd be able to find on a question of that nature. Of a couple, there was 1-1, but everyone else was in the most part the 5 to 9 range. 8.75. Okay, so 9, I guess, there. 7 from Seabass. So we're all kind of in that same category, which, hey, ESPN got one right. Good for them and Bill Barnwell. Now, NBA free agency is just around the corner. I saw a comment asked about the Mavs draft. Our main Chat Sports channel will be live here in not too far time. They'll be live at 4 p.m. Central for NBA free agency coverage. We'll be live, the Chat Sports channel will, all throughout NBA free agency. So make sure you guys are subbed. YouTube.com/Chat Sports. Hit that sub button for me right now. I do want to hit Jeremy Chuggs' burner super chat briefly, and then we will also hit it on the mailbag a bit more in depth. But I appreciate super chats, and in the words of Sam, it'll be up on the first minute. So I'll make it happen this time around. Jeremy Chuggs' burner. What is his profile picture? I can't quite make it out. It looks like it's a guy with money kneeling. Okay, that checks out really well for a super chat then. Thank you, Jeremy Chuggs' burner. We got Hopkins and Cook that plays us in terms of NFL in town. I don't think we will, but it boosts us enough. Why not? I think the issue you run into there is it really fills out your back ends, but for the cost of what those players want, and although I don't agree with where the Cowboys would place Hopkins, does Hopkins want to come be wide receiver 4? Does Cook want to come be running back 2 and take the contract that is reflective of it? That's the issue it runs into. We just did the offensive rankings. Add those two guys. Wouldn't you say the Cowboys are in that top 5 consideration? Probably still not number 1, but in that range of like maybe they're 4 now, maybe they're 5 or 3. It helps, but there is the monetary aspect from the Cowboys' perspective since they also want to pay guys like C-Lamb. Great question, Jeremy Chuggs burner. We'll hit it again on the mailbag coming up here in just a little bit. This is the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, and today's show is made possible by Kinzuri. Height-boosting shoes that are subtle and help you feel and look a little bit more confident out there. 15% off at kinzuri.com/chat. We'll go tell you more about them, I should say, later on in today's show as we go in-depth on 5 free agents who could start right now for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have, it's a rough estimate here, $20-ish million in salary cap. You can look at various sites. The numbers will be a little bit off, a little bit different, but it's all about the same in the end. And they have 2 open roster spots. Now, there are free agents who can help. Some is depth. Maybe Dallas adds a quarterback 4. Maybe Dallas adds a rotational corner since there are some injuries at that spot right now. Or maybe they add a starter, including but not limited to kicker. Now, if you want the Cowboys to just sign a free agent, a good one, by the way, we'll clarify that, not just some random guy like, Ben Bannigue, who no one had really heard of before, well, at least not within reason, then like the video. The more likes we get, the more likely it is the Cowboys will sign somebody. So, like today's video for me right now. First name on the list? Yeah, it's DeAndre Hopkins. The Cowboys, I don't think would agree with me here in terms of, he would start, but I think he would. The Hopkins has visited the Titans and the Patriots so far. Allegedly wants to drive up his market a little bit more and get some more money / go play for a contender like maybe KC or Buffalo. He was telling people he wanted to be a Cowboy when he was training in Dallas and visiting Dez. And then Dallas traded it for Brandon Cooks, and they didn't want Hopkins. I think that was kind of okay, well, then I guess I'm not going to go to Dallas, so I'm going to stop saying that and then say you didn't want to be a Cowboy, which is fine. That's what I would do if I was in Hopkins' shoes because he kind of got projected, basically. But there's still talent here. Now, I do think some semblance of decline is set. I don't think he's going to be a 1,500-yard receiver anymore or even a 1,200-yard receiver. That's just not who Hopkins is anymore. But in 9 games last year, he outproduced Michael Gallup. Now, the target share was different, to be fair. But I look at this Cowboys team and I go, okay, who's better? Brandon Cooks or DeAndre Hopkins? I think you can talk yourself into Hopkins over Cooks. Lamb for sure. But you start 3 receivers in the modern-day NFL. That is simply how things go from that perspective. But Gallup is not better right this second than DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think he's a better player, especially coming off the injuries. The decline statistically you see on screen has been very real, and that is troubling for me. So, I think if you signed Hopkins, he'd be better than Gallup. Cowboys show no interest, but that's what I believe. Who do you think is better? DH for DeAndre Hopkins, MG for Michael Gallup. This is today's pinned comment. So if an ad happens to play here on the YouTube side, take advantage. Head down there. DH for DeAndre Hopkins, MG for Michael Gallup. Robbie Gould is next up here. And I also put in my notes and other kickers who we'll get to in a little bit, because I could have done about 10 kickers who I think would start over Tristan Vizcaino. It's a low bar. I'll keep myself to one, the big name, the name that we're all more familiar with, at least as big a name as a kicker possibly. That is Robbie Gould. Now, I do want to make note, he's the name. The Niners were quick to move on from him. With that said, Tristan Vizcaino is the only kicker right now on the Cowboys roster. I don't think he's very good. So by default, Robbie Gould would be the better kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. He signs, he would be your heavy favorite to win that job as the team's starting kicker. And there are several other names who I think also check off this box. Mason Crosby, who has been really up and down, knows Mike McCarthy. Ryan Suckup, as producer Sam loves to call him, Fat Randy. He loves the nickname Fat Randy Bullock. Brett Maher is still better than Tristan Vizcaino. I truly believe that. You could insert any number of XFL or USFL signings, and I didn't put him on here. Nick Folk is my name to watch if and when the Patriots end up cutting him. So who do you want as the Cowboys kicker? Maybe it is Robbie Gould. Maybe it's somebody I didn't even mention. Kind of no wrong. And as long as it's a cheap one-year deal, let him compete. Bring him in. I have no complaints about that one. So drop that player name, or names for me even, in the comment section. Today's Cowboys Report is sponsored by Kinzuri. You ever wished you were a little taller out there, fellows? Maybe you matched on Tinder, but her profile says you must be over 6 feet. I know my boy Will Scott has had that issue in the past there. Maybe your date wants to wear heels, but she can't because it makes her a little bit taller than you, and that throws off the power dynamics. We got Short Kings covered with today's sponsor, Kinzuri. They make sure to add to 2.8 inches of height without anyone knowing. Girls get heels, makeup, push-up bras. Men can get a confidence boost as well. Kinzuri shoes are not only height boosting, but also stylish and comfortable. They are not grandpa's ugly Velcro shoes, but fashionable shoes that get compliments even without the height increase. The height insoles are built into the shoes, making it the ultimate height hack. The dress shoes, by the way, perfect usage of Kinzuri. For a limited time, you guys get an extra 15% off your order at kinzuri.com/chat. The site is already up to 30% off. With our link, it's an additional 15%. That's 45% off your entire order when you go to conzuri.com/chat. Life is short. You don't have to be. Level the playing field and update that dating profile to 6 feet. Kinzuri is a game changer when it comes to your dating life. Head over at kinzuri.com/chat. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. All right, more free agents who could start. Dalton Risner. Now, is he one of your best 5 offensive linemen right this second? I don't know. Probably not. But your best 5, A, isn't healthy right now, right this second, and B, definitely won't be at some point during the season. Risner had been linked to Dallas speculatively, including by myself before the draft. Report out of Denver had said that there were 7 teams interested. Sure. At this point, Risner and others, they can wait to sign. There's a month-ish until training camp. His numbers did dip last year. The sacks went up a little bit. The hurries went up, and the run grade moved significantly lower. I will say this, the Broncos' offense was a dumpster fire last year. I blame the coaching. I've seen Risner play good football. I'm open to giving him benefit of the doubt. And I play him in a plug-and-play option at left guard. If you want to keep Tyler Smith at left tackle, if that is your goal, then I think you need a better option at left guard, or at least a better veteran option, because you could let Tyron Smith and Terence Steele battle it out at right tackle, knowing Tyron at some point will end up being hurt, and that's fine. But do we trust the combination of Matt Farniok and Matt Waletzko and maybe and Chuma Adoga at left guard. Maybe not. I got some concerns there. There's youth, there's talent, but I'm not sold on that one from that perspective. If the Cowboys make a roster move, we will cover it. We did it for Ben Banigou. We've done it for other players. We'll do a video. I'll drop off the kid at the sitter and come do a live show if needed. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/CowboysTV. The first three names for me were pretty obvious. The next two, maybe not quite as crystal clear. But I know people know the name Myles Jack. He was cut by Pittsburgh in the offseason and kind of quiet his free agent market. There has not been much buzz on Myles Jack, in large part due to this. He's simply not the guy he was at his absolute best in Jacksonville. Now, the starting aspect for Dallas, I kind of want to let Damone Clark be the guy. If he's not, then maybe you want a veteran option. And also this, LVE does have a troubling injury history, so veteran depth could chip in there. And there are other options that we'll get to here in a little bit. But Myles Jack, the tackle numbers look fine. The TFLs, the sacks, the pass breakups, last 2 years combined, doesn't really match up with what he did back in 2020 even. 2019 got a bit banged up there. So the Jalen Smith linebacker debates, a little bit looked like it was Jalen. Then it was definitely Myles Jack. Now it's kind of like, well, maybe neither worked out that great. There is depth at linebacker, but it's young, mostly unproven depth. Damone Clark, who I'm excited for this year. DeMarvin Ocean, who I like a lot. Jabril Cox, #CoxOut. Devin Harper. There are options, but there is some concern over the reliability of such a youthful and, for the one veteran, banged-up starter. There are other free agent linebackers you could consider as well. Rashaan Evans, Deion Jones, Zach Cunningham, Quan Alexander, Kyle Van Noy would kind of be more of a hybrid pass rusher. I think the Overshown role kind of already filled there. Concerns all those guys, namely, they're just not as productive and athletic as they once were. So I want you guys to play GM now. Name a free agent who you want to sign. No wrong answers. It is your opinion. Well, maybe no wrong answers. You might be able to throw a couple bad names in there, but go ahead and sound off for me in the comments. I'm going to really cheat for my last one. Yannick Ngakoue, the edge rusher last with the Indianapolis Colts. From a production standpoint, he's been pretty darn consistent in his time over a bunch of different NFL teams. He's now actually a journeyman looking over the course of his NFL career. I think he's a top 5 free agent left at this stage. Now, Ngakoue probably wouldn't be a quote-unquote starter. When you come out in your base defense on 1st and 10, he's probably not out there. You're probably going to keep Micah and Tank Lawrence out there or a different defense lineman like a Dorrance Armstrong or something, a better run stopper. But on third downs, in pass rushing situations, there could be a role in which Ngakoue gets starter or starter-ish snaps. 8 TFLs, 9.5 sacks, 10 sacks, 8 sacks. With the Jags, Vikings, Raiders, Ravens, and Colts, played on 5 teams in 4 years. It's kind of crazy. But he's consistently been a pass rusher. I think a team like Dallas in a borderline like higher-end Dante Fowler role is perfect for Ngakoue. Don't worry about the run. Go get the quarterback. The Robert Quinn, don't worry about the run. Just go make sacks. That could be a great role for Ngakoue. Now, they brought back Dante Fowler. They have Dorrance Armstrong. They probably have to move one of those guys to make room for Ngakoue. But from a pure pass rushing role perspective, I think it'd be an upgrade from that perspective. Because think about this. Third and 11. You got Micah and Tank Lawrence on one side. Osa and Ngakoue on the other. You can stunt Micah and Tank like Dan Quinn loves to do. That's a really fun pass rush borderline NASCAR grouping out there on defense. One name I did not include, Dalvin Cook, who is definitely one of the best available free agent targets for Dallas, but I don't think he'd start. I think Tony Pollard right now is a better football player than Dalvin Cook. He'd have a role, but it'd be a backup role. So I did not include Dalvin Cook on that top 5 list. When it comes to these two, who's better right now? TP for Tony Pollard or DC for Dalvin Cook? Give you shout outs here as I sip some water too. I like that toxic Tom Downey burner account has gone back to the profile of like grade school me. Who's better, TP for Tony Pollard or DC for Dalvin Cook? Get those votes in. It is about to be mailbag time. There are two ways in which you guys can get on the show. You guys can use hashtag Cowboys, get your questions in the words of producer Sam, the Quay. That allows Sam to find your questions and then bring them up on screen. Or you guys can super chat. Jeremy Chugs' burner and Toxic Tom Downey burner account. I have your super chats, or I should say we have your super chats. We will hit those during the show. So if you want to get, let me adjust my AirPod here so I can hear Sam without hurting my ear anymore. If you guys want to get on the show, it is via super chat, guaranteed to get on. Any super chats that come in, we will hit them. Same with super thanks from previous on-demand videos. If you just have a question, that's cool too. Just use hashtag Cowboys. Otherwise, Sam is simply not going to be able to find your question. It'll get buried. It won't be seen. So you have to super chat or just use hashtag Cowboys. Those are the two paths to getting on the show here live. Otherwise, there's no great way of being able to find them from that perspective. So hashtag Cowboys or super chat. Jeremy Chugs' burner. I do see your other super chat as well. I see hashtag Cowboys questions from Leroy Pearson, from Jeremy Chugs' burner. Vince, I see one. That's not. Boondock Saint is in there too, but that's kind of it. So get your questions in. Hashtag Cowboys or super chat if you guys want to get on the show. I will give some shout outs, by the way, from the TP Dalvin Cook debate. There was a Dalvin Cook from RS Wirt 14, and then it was TPs from everybody else. Taco Eater, Leroy, Sheldon, Unitive Taco, Robert, Jack, Luis, Vince, Unitive Thurman, Brian Brokov, E60, Vince, Joshua, Iceman, Seabass, and so many more. So again, get your questions in, hashtag Cowboys, or skip the line altogether and super chat on today's show. You're watching the Cowboys Report presented by Roan. I am rocking one of their commuter collection polos. Incredibly comfortable, and when I go golf later, I can wear the exact same polo. No need to change. I feel comfortable in it as well. Get 20% off your order at roan.com/chatsports. As we hit some super thanks to begin today's mailbag. Comments that came in on demand. Richard Vavra says, thanks. Great job, Tom. That's all it was. I appreciate that, Richard, and thank you for watching and submitting your super thanks here. If you do a super thanks on the Cowboys Report, we will feature them on our mailbags. It's a feature, much like a super chat on live. It's super thanks for just like a normal video. You can click the thanks icon, edit your message, donate whatever number you want or amount you want. We appreciate your support. We'll keep giving you guys shout out. Next up, George Norwood says, thanks, Jake Ferguson is your top offensive breakout candidate. This was on our offensive breakout candidates video. Ferguson was on that list. Maybe Luke Schoonmaker cuts into some of his reps. Hendershot might as well. But at tight end, I think he's the better fit over Hendershot, at least for now. From Tyler Parrott, a $2 super thanks. I would take Trey Lance for a next year's third-round pick, plus another player like a backup tight end. Any chance if he emerges as no better than a backup after training camp? Interesting idea. The issue the Niners run into is they invested a lot in Trey Lance. And Lance was always going to be a project. There was some really good pre-snap stuff he was doing, but he did need time coming from a smaller school, FCS, North Dakota State. It was a matter of how long it would take him to get there. He started 4 games. Because of injuries, he hasn't had a real shot, and one of those starts was in a torrential downpour. So you haven't really gotten a great look at Trey Lance. And the team that would know the most would be the Niners. So if they're trading him, might mean he's not very good. Now, I put together this trade package as part of it. Backup tight end went with Sean McEwen. Better than Hendershot, or not as good as Hendershot, so cheaper value from that perspective. plus the third-round pick going back to the Niners in exchange for Trey Lance. The biggest issue I have here is that although I'm not prepared to quit Trey Lance as an overall NFL person, I liked him in the draft. I'm not going to quit him quite yet. I don't think his timeline meshes that well with Dallas. Because he's got this year, you're obviously going to start Dak. Next year, well, Dak's still under contract. Then you'd have the fifth-year option, having not seen him play any football, barring injury. I don't know if a potential upgrade at backup QB, which what he would be short-term for Dallas in particular, is with a third-round pick. I think a different team might make some more sense for him. So would you trade for Trey Lance? Y for yes, N for no. It's going to be today's pin comment. Let's say it's the third and the backup tight end. Would you do that deal? Y or N at the pin comment, especially if the ad plays here on YouTube. From my guy Jeremy Chuggs' burner account, if we got Hopkins and Cook, where would that place us in the NFL in terms of talent? I don't think we will, but if it boosts us enough, why not? There is the phrase I'll use is diminishing returns. The Cowboys view Hopkins as their wide receiver 4. Hold on, folks. Waiting to see. I think we're back. Very confused how the Ethernet chose to stop working randomly. Okay, we're back? Cool, we're back. We did it. We fixed it. Roger Goodell and those cheating Eagles shut off our internet. The Ethernet port only, which doesn't make it, it's very strange. The Ethernet stopped working, and then nothing else continued to work. So we're going to resume the mailbag. Then we'll finish it. No loop today, so it's not just a giant 20 minutes of black space. So you can get your questions in again. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. What's up, Sam? Well, no, we don't. Why don't we take it from the? We don't need to take it from the top because we hit. It's still recorded. Okay, we can just build them. So, by the way, get your questions in. Okay, okay, that's fine. Just you tell me what to do and I'll do it. Get your questions in. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. We'll reset the mailbag since we can blame Chuggs, I guess, for the internet not working and / it actually working but not streaming anymore. It's very strange. Very, very strange confusion. So get your questions in. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat to get on the show. We'll reset the whole thing. So hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. It's not Chuggs' fault, Toxic, but we can blame Chuggs if we want there. So we'll give you guys some time to reset here, get all those questions back on. The Super Chats will build and re-hit them as needed. But get them in. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. If you've asked a question, by the way, please go ahead and ask it again. That way we can reset the whole thing because it deletes all the comments, basically. So if you had questions you liked, get them in again. And we'll hit all the mailbags here momentarily. So get your questions in. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. Jeremy Chuggs' burner. Talks to Tom Downey's burner account. And the other Jeremy Chuggs burner Super Chat. We'll still hit those, by the way. We will make sure those get rebuilt because we can actually see them and find them on the studio side. It's just when the Ethernet stopped working, the whole thing decided to reset itself. So that was not particularly fun. So get your questions in right now. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat for the mailbag. Welcome into the Cowboys Report, made possible today by Roan. You guys can get 20% off your order at roan.com/chatsports, including the polo that I'm wearing right now, part of the commuter collection from Roan. An incredibly fantastic set of products. That's roan.com/chatsports. All right, some super thanks to begin today's live mailbag. Take 2 after the Ethernet stopped working in the middle of our last one. From Richard Varva. Says, thanks. Great job, Tom. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate you watching and supporting the Cowboys Report. These put in a super thanks. It's a feature on YouTube, much like a super chat, that allows you to donate, ask a question, say thanks, whatever, on an on-demand video, not just a live, which is a super chat. Click the thanks icon. You can edit your message, say whatever you want. We appreciate your support here at the Cowboys Report. We'll give you guys shout-outs when those come in, including one from George Norwood. This one came on our offensive breakout candidates video. He says, thanks. Jake Ferguson is your offensive breakout candidate. I think that's a great name. He was on our list, of course, there. It depends on, hey, does Luke Schoonmaker emerge as a potential early starter for Dallas, or is it a rotation? But he's a good offensive breakout candidate name for sure. Next up from Tyler Parrott, a $2 super thanks. Thank you, my friend. I would take Trey Lance for next year's third-round pick plus another player like an extra tight end. Any chance of that if he emerges as no better than a backup after training camp? So in this scenario, Trey Lance is only a backup. And there is upside still in Trey Lance, who was always a bit of a developmental project type with high upside, who needed time and reps. He's had 4 career starts, one of which was basically a monsoon game that I don't think really counts as a start and hurt his numbers, etc. The issue here is you're trading for Trey Lance. Let's say it's this deal, a third-round pick, and we'll give him Sean McEwen, so a less valuable tight end going to San Francisco in exchange for Dallas. You're giving up a third for a backup, and you're still paying him a decent amount of money. You're paying him kind of high money because he was a top 5 pick. And his timeline matches up with Dak. This year under contract, next year under contract. Dak's then a free agent. Lance is a 5th-year option. I haven't really seen him play. I think that's a lot to give up for a player that, in theory, didn't win the 49ers job and then isn't good enough to be your starter there or in Dallas, barring injury, so it's a backup. I think that's too much, and I think the Niners would probably want too much in the end. So would you trade for Trey Lance? This will be today's pinned comment. If an ad happens to play here on YouTube, that's cool. Take advantage of the ad and go vote. Why for yes you would, and for no you would not. Would you guys trade for Trey Lance? This is a $5 super chat from Jeremy Chuggs' burner. If we got Cook and Hopkins, where would we put us in terms of talent? I don't think we will, but if it puts us enough, why not? It's a good question, Jeremy Chuggs' burner. The reasoning here is the role versus the money and the expectations of impact. It's a diminishing return signing. You would sign Hopkins to be your receiver 4. I put him at 3. Dallas wants to make it Gallup. Cook would be your number 2 back. For the cost involved, let's say it's generously $15 million for Hopkins, $7 for Dalvin Cook, you're paying over $22 million for your wide receiver 4 and your RB2. That doesn't really work. Now, if there's an injury, you can change your mind. But for the roster currently constructed, it's not as viable as an option for the return on what you would be investing. Injuries could change that, but currently constructed, it's just not quite worth the change involved. $2 super chat from Toxic Tom Downey burner account. Cowboys legends Jalen Jelks and Scott Fujita, the Oregon defensive end, 7th-round pick, and the longtime NFL linebacker, Scott Fujita. 2 great names there, my friend. Thank you. From another one, I should say, from Jeremy Chuggs' burner, is Tony Pollard a top 10 back? I'd say probably. You're putting Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, probably Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, probably Saquon over him. And then it's, is Breece Hall healthy? Alvin Kamara maybe. He's kind of declined a little bit. Kenneth Walker. Is Damian Pierce better? Maybe, probably not. If he's not top 10, he's not far behind it from that perspective. A $5 super chat we'll get to here in just a little bit. But first, folks, today's show is made possible by Roan. 20% off your order when you head over to roan.com/chatsports. Their commuter collection is perfect. Men's closets needed a radical reinvention, and Roan has delivered with the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man. Their comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy whatever life throws your way. From the commute to work to 18 holes of golf, they have pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Roan commuter collection. It's easy to feel confident without the hassle with their wrinkle release technology. Their Gold Fusion anti-odor tech helps you smell fresh and clean throughout the day. It's, by the way, 100% machine washable as well. I've watched this polo many a time. The commuter collection gets you through any workday and right into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/chatsports. for 20% off your order. That's 20% off your entire Roan order when you go to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. Find your corner office comfort with Roan. A $5 super chat, a first-time super chatter from Sheldon Johnson. Just says you're doing an awesome job. Thank you, Sheldon. I appreciate that, and congrats on your first ever super chat. From Mark, my guy. Why are we talking about back so much? We have zero depth on the offensive line. Injury concerns. Smith and the Denver guard is a huge upgrade for us. We have money. I would like to sign Dalton Risner. I think there could be depth. I'm excited about what maybe Matt Waletzko can be for. I think he's more of a tackle than a guard. Team seems to like Matt Farniok. Not sure I fully agree on that one. But I agree, Mark. I would rather sign a guard for, let's say, $5 million than a running back for $5 million. I think that would have a bigger impact for you, and the depth would be a bit more valuable. From Boondock Saint, Tom, would you trade for Tampa Bay's center, and what would it cost? So, that'd be Ryan Jensen. I would probably not trade for him. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. If I can get him for a late-round pick, sure, okay. I think that's a short-term solution for a player who's maybe at this stage in his career a little bit better than Tyler Biadasz. Not a terrible idea. I get what you're going for. But at this stage in his career, I'm not sure how much he really has left in the tank. Now, if Biadasz goes down potentially, yeah, top of my list for sure. Joshua Ramsey, with Burrow set to get paid, what would a team-friendly deal look like? I assume it's about what would a team-friendly deal look like for Dallas. Let's go to the top 10 quarterbacks list if you can there, Sam. I know it's been a chaotic day for you. The team-friendly, I think, would be almost anything under like 49. If it's Russ Wilson or less, if it's in that range of outcomes, I'd say somewhere in that contract is actually team-friendly, as opposed to, like, if Dak wants to play hardball, his hardball is, I'm not signing an extension, because the Cowboys can't tag him. He can hit the open market where he could get a stupid big deal from a desperate team, like a team like the Commanders. I mean, look how much they just gave up for Aaron Rodgers for a year or two of him. So I think, honestly, anything under 50 is probably a bit team-friendly versus what Dak could try to do. From Mark, a $2 super chat. Thank you. I agree. You guys rock. Miss Brother Chubbs. Aloha. You'll still see Jeremy. He's just on. He's doing other stuff with Raiders, etc. So, Mark, appreciate you supporting my friend. Thank you. From Bruce Smith. So, the Bills not trading Stephon Diggs. Yeah, I don't think so. At least not this year. The way his contract is set up, the monetary impact just doesn't really work. It would cost such an exorbitant amount of money. It would cost them too much short term. So I never bought the Diggs trade rumors to Dallas. I get they're fun, and Trayvon wants him, but I never thought it was happening. Here's a fun question for you guys. Who is the better Diggs? S for Stephon Diggs or T for Trayvon Diggs? At least right now. Curious how you guys vote. Sound off for me in the comment section. Stephen Riddle. Is Dak one of the most overrated QBs in the NFL? How do you rate him? / who are you talking to? I saw someone say, I forget his name, it was a media person, said Dak was the most overrated quarterback because we all think he's top 5, and he's actually more like 7 to 11, which I think is a made-up argument. I don't think he's top 5. I don't think most people think he's top 5. I think he's in that 7 to 11 range, but I see more comments of Dak is trash and he's not a top 15 at all quarterback. I've seen people say he's bottom 10 in the NFL, which I think is ludicrous. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, and I think if you got an average poll, that's about what it would be, somewhere in that 7 to 11 range. So depends on how you're rating him. If you put him in the top 5, then yeah, I think you are rating him a little bit, but I think there's more non-top 15 than there are top 5 views of Dak. It's a good question there. From Brokoff, if we reach Super Bowl, what 3 realistic former Cowboys could sign an Eric Weddle-like contract? Boy, you're signing a retired player to come play a game for you, which that was a wild story. They have to be former Cowboys. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Dez. Is Jason Witten still in shape? What kind of shape is Travis Frederick in? You know who's actually still kind of in good shape? DeMarcus Ware could actually be a decent fit, although I think he's way too old, but he's actually in good shape. It's a fun question there, broke up. From Robert, how much pass rush should we expect from Mozzie? I think keep the expectations low. I'd say if you can get some pocket push out of Mozzie Smith, you're probably happy about it. I don't know if you're going to get massive pocket push or real pass rush moves in year one, but don't be a liability on third downs when and if he's out there very much. From David Duvall, interesting. What would you trade for Isaiah Simmons? That's a tough one. I think he would have a lot of fun and be a good fit in the Dan Quinn style defense. I think Dan Quinn could maximize him in a way that maybe others in Arizona have been unable to do so. His numbers were up and down this past year, knowing, of course, that Arizona hasn't used him in always the best fashion. But I think the DeMarvion Overshown role is kind of an overlap. I want to monitor him at the trade deadline this year. I'm not going to trade for him right now. Arizona probably wants too much. Let's check in the trade deadline. Can I get him for a fourth-round pick? Probably not. But at the deadline, I might have interest at that level. So name a player who you would trade for. Put on your GM caps. Name a player you guys would go out and get in the comment section right now. From Leroy Pearson Jr. Do you see the Jones and likes of Gallimore right into to receive the comp picks when they sign elsewhere? I don't think so. I think it's more of they drafted them, they invested in them, and they want to see if those guys can develop and become what they hoped they were going to be. Dallas has always been fairly loyal to their various draft picks. But all three of those guys might get cut. And right now, they wouldn't bring you much in a comp pick situation. So I think wait and see on those players. I think all three guys you named are very much on the roster bubble. From Cameron Godfrey, we'll make this our last one here. How you think we're going to extend Pollard? How much? I think about $8 million is going to do it. That's the issue you have here. Because Tony Pollard is locked in to $10 million. So if he were to take, let's say, a 3-year, $27, $24 million deal, that's really more of a 2-year, $14 million deal. And depending on how much is guaranteed, couldn't he get more than that next year on the open market? That's the issue I think Dallas and Pollard are going to face right now. Maybe he wants the guaranteed money because the running back market is really bad. But sound off with what you guys think Pollard's worth in the comments. All right, let's play a game here. Who should be in the Cowboys legend Ring of Honor? We'll put 4 names in there. We'll aim for 4, maybe go a little bit higher or lower. This, of course, is the bit. The Cowboys legends, the players who they played for the Cowboys one time at least, therefore they are legends. They weren't actually all that great. So it's the bit. It's the meme of Cowboys legends. Like Des Bryant's way too good. Rico Gathers, great names. Matt Johnson, awesome. James Hanna fits really well. Sam wants to have Sam Hurd in there. I know that. Jeff Heath is a good one. I think Jameel Showers is in there. Just was constantly because Jason Garrett loved Jameel Showers for whatever reason. But Babe Laufenberg, is he too good? Yeah. No, we won't bother with it. Luis Capolite, no loop today, by the way, folks. Lucky Whitehead, that's a good one. I like that fit. Dexter Coakley, maybe a little bit too good for that list. Deion Anderson, great name. What'd you say there, Sam? Charles Tapper, taken before Dak, by the way. Brokoff says David Irving. David Irving's banned from the list because he didn't give a shit about football, so he's not on my list. Tashard Choice, John Kitna. Ooh, I like that one. That's a good one. Quincy Carter, yeah. John Kitna works really well because he just came back randomly, which is a great choice. Terrence Williams, I like that one. We have a $5 super chat, by the way, from Chris B. Just got here. Kind of out of football mode right now, but all I'm asking for is an NFC Championship game berth. Then I'll take my chances, please. I would love that. It has been a very long time since Dallas made it to an NFC Championship game. Way too long. we would all feel really good if that would just happen one time. So I appreciate that, Crispy. I totally agree. Thank you for the $5 super chat. The Chat Sports main channel live right now for NBA free agency, youtube.com/Chat Sports. It'll be live all throughout NBA free agency. So if you want the best NBA coverage out there, go subscribe. youtube.com/@Chat Sports. If you haven't already, make sure you guys sub to the main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. It's Tom Downey. Today's show sponsored by Kinzuri. Height-boosting shoes to help you feel a little bit more confident, have some more success in your dating life. Tell you more about them, but you can save 15% off at kinzuri.com/chat. Today's show, as promised, defensive breakouts. We went through offensive breakouts. Now it's the defensive side of the ball's turn to break down who could emerge with a big-time step forward this season. Before we get to my list, if you love the Dallas Cowboys, I need you guys to like today's show. It really is that simple. The more likes we get, the more likely it is the Cowboys actually make it to a damn NFC Championship game this upcoming year. So like the video, or else I will blame you personally. Kidding, of course. But first up on our defensive breakout candidates list, I think a very obvious one, Sam Williams, the defensive end who showed a lot of flash and promise in his rookie year in 2023. He has the ability to be a major sack producer, and he was much more effective last year as a run stopper than I was prepared for. Now, the things the team wants him to get better at, both on the field and off it, be more mature. Be a true pros pro in the end. There are still some flags in his games that have caused issues. There was the car accident thing, which I think did rub some people the wrong way when he was talking about how, I was just lucky to be alive. It was a freak thing, like you were speeding pretty heavily. That was a big factor there. But the talent is undeniable. 9 TFLs in his first year, 4 sacks in his first season. The untapped ability is there. And he has a chance to thrive because he's not being asked to be the number 1 or even the number 2. My goal for Sam Williams this year is to steal snaps from Dorrance Armstrong. That's not me being anti-Armstrong, by the way. That's me wanting Sam Williams, who's younger and cheaper and probably has maybe a bit more upside overall, to emerge as a big part of this defense. To be that number 3 edge in year 2, this is Dan Quinn's guy. I want to see him live up to the expectations placed on him from the organization. All right, folks, name a player who you think breaks out on defense this year. Any player on the defensive side of the football, who is it? It is going to be today's pinned comment, so if that ad happens to play here on YouTube, that's fine. Ignore the ad. Go vote for your breakout candidate on defense right now. We'll send the defensive line here. Osa Odigizua. I almost got ahead of myself. You know who's coming third. But Osa has shown flashes. There's been promise of like, oh man, this guy could take that next step forward, but I need to see the next step forward. He's been a solid quality player for the Dallas Cowboys, but he gets a lot of favorable matchups in Dallas where he's got chances to be a high-end impact football player. He's had 11 quarterback hits each of the past 2 years. His sacks have gone up. His TFLs have gone up. But that next jump forward, that next leap from being, okay, he's probably a quality rotation player to, hey, this guy's a really good starter at the 3 technique. That's the next thing you're searching for. The quarterback hits stayed fairly steady last year. He kind of hit a wall in his first season. He has a chance to benefit from everybody around him. He doesn't have to be Aaron Donald because he's not the best player up front. Mozzie Smith should take up some double teams for him when they're both out there on the field. Teams pay more attention to Micah Parsons, to Tank Lawrence. Osa can be your 4th player up front on the defensive line, depending on the package, and get favorable one-on-one matchups, or at least one-on-one and chip help or whatever it ends up being. That should allow him to maximize his gifts. He hasn't quite done it yet in the way I think he can. The one thing this Cowboys team has lacked on defense is that dynamic impact 3 technique. I would love nothing more than for Osa to emerge as that guy this year. Today's Cowboys Report is presented by Kinzuri. Fellas, Ever wished you were a little bit taller? Maybe you matched on Tinder or you wanted to, but her profile says must be over 6 foot. A delegation, I'm told, continues to be used by some out there. Maybe your date wants to wear heels but can't because it'll make her taller than you. That's just kind of weird. I got Short Kings covered with today's sponsor, Kinzuri. They make shoes that add up to 2.8 inches to your height without anyone knowing. Girls get heels, makeup, push-up bras. This is men's confidence boost with Kinzuri. We're all the same height lying down if you can catch the drift there. Kinzuri shoes are not only height boosting but also stylish and comfortable. They're not grandpa's Velcro shoes, but fashionable shoes that can receive compliments even without the height increase. The height insoles are built into the shoes, making it the ultimate height hack. For a limited time, you guys can get 15% off your order at kinzuri.com/chat. And the site is already 30% off. So with our link, you get an extra 15%. That's 45% if you can't do math, like my boy Will Scott can't, who also needs Kinzuris and wears them. That's 45% off your entire order. Support our show and check them out at conzuri.com/chat. Life is short, but you don't have to be. Update that dating profile to 6 foot with Kinzuri. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Over to the defensive line again, Chauncey Golston, which I kind of teased a little bit with my slip-up earlier. I don't think Golston's going to emerge as that impact threat. I think there are higher expectations for Osa than Golston. But there is still a role for him in a kind of, sort of Tyrone Crawford mold. He's been getting more work on the interior. I think that will continue, where he can do some of your dirty work. He can be a good run stopper for you and contribute on third downs. I'm not asking Golston to emerge as a, he's going to be a 7-sack guy or even a 5-sack guy. I don't need that from him. What I need is more depth up front. What I need is a guy who can be what I thought Neville Gallimore would be, a good rotation piece. Gallimore has not been that. Golston, I believe, can be. But what is your confidence level in the Dallas Cowboys defense? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. How confident are you feeling in Dan Quinn's squad this year? Go vote in the comments. To linebacker, Damone Clark. This I think is a very obvious pick too. Van Der Esch is going to be your linebacker 1. I think we all know that as long as he's healthy. They do need a linebacker 2. And Damone Clark got playing time last year, which I did not think was going to happen. I did not think Clark was going to be healthy at all last year. He proved me wrong, and I was very glad he did so. And there were some moments. He never took that step forward. But last year, Damone Clark was rehabbing this time. He wasn't out there getting reps and learning and getting better. He was getting healthier. Now, he has an entire real offseason of dedicated stuff to getting better at football. And that will go a long way for Damone Clark. And that's why I think he's a great breakout candidate on defense. Maybe DeMarvion Overshown gets some reps. I'm sure that'll happen. We'll talk about Jabril Cox. Maybe Devin Harper emerges. But Dallas wants Clark to be the guy. He had that neck concern. Came back last year. Showed some flashes. Now take that big step forward. Jabril Cox, next up on this list. And does he have to be on here? No. Are my expectations lower of Jabril Cox than Damone Clark? Absolutely. Because Cox, simply put, has not done much in his NFL career. Now, he has drawn rave reviews so far for his offseason work. Cox fits more of a hybrid role. He's more of a coverage linebacker than he is a true run-stopping thumper, but he's had 8 tackles in the course of 16 games played over the course of his NFL career. But I am contractually obligated to include Jabril Cox on this breakout player list because I liked him coming out of LSU. And we have the memes. So you guys know what to do next. You know what it is. It's time to type hashtag Cox out in the comments section. Spam it for me right now. Get those comments flowing. Flood it with hashtag Cox out. We'll have some fun, as we always will, about Jabril Cox. So I do think it'll make a bigger impact for you this year. I'll pick only one defensive back. Plus, then we'll get to some names I left off this list here. That's Israel Mukuamu. Deron Bland already broke out for me. Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson. J-Ron Curse, those guys are all established players. I would keep an eye out for Izzy. He played a key role for the Cowboys in that more nickel corner-focused role last year for Dallas. And he offers positional flexibility. I think he can play almost any spot in the secondary. Outside corner, nickel, strong safety, free safety. I envision a bigger year for Israel Mukuamu, who hasn't done that much over the course of his NFL career. 17 tackles, had a good showing against Tampa in the playoffs. That was a big deal. I like Mukuamu. And I envision his role this year as the super sub defensive back. You got your 3 starters at corner, Diggs, Gilmore, Bland. Your 3 stars at safety, Wilson, Kirsten, Hooker. And then if somebody gets hurt, wherever it is, Mukuamu is the one who steps up. Maybe that means he plays nickel and Deron Bland plays on the outside. Maybe he plays nickel. Maybe he plays whatever it is. I think Mukuamu is going to play a big reserve role for Dallas. It's a matter of, does he get the opportunity to play this year? If he does, I think he'll make a nice impact. Now, we will have more Cowboys videos for you each and every single day here on the Cowboys Report. Hit that sub button right now so you don't miss out on anything. One note before we go. 4 players that I would love to have a breakout year from, but there's a but involved here. Kelvin Joseph, Deshaun Wright. You spent premium picks on them. They haven't been very good so far. Wright's been banged up at OTAs and minicamp. Maybe just a new corner works out for him, but we just hyped up Mukuamu. Marquise Bell, I like him at safety. Tough path to playing time there. Dorrance Armstrong, back end of 2020, early of 2021, early of 2021, back end of 2022. Flip that, back end of 2021 and 2022. Eventually I'll get it right. Hashtag math and years and stuff. He has shown good impact, but he fell off last year. It's basically a 16-game sample size of great play. Can you do more of that? I'm not so sure. Plus, I just hyped up Sam Williams a lot on today's show. All right, back to today's pinned poll, plus the super chat will hit here. But do you want to extend Dak Prescott? Y for yes, N for no. The yeses have certainly taken over right now. It is 73% voting in favor of the yeses. So you guys can vote in the comments and, of course, in the pin poll. Y for yes, N for no. It was a majority who had voted for the yeses, and that I'm not terribly surprised by from that perspective. As a reminder, folks, make sure you guys are subscribed. Free videos every single day right here on the Cowboys Report. News, rumors, whatever it is. Before we go, though, I do want to hit Jordan Ramirez's $5 super chat that came in. Then we'll sign off, and apologies again for the weird Ethernet not working. Still don't get what happened there. I'll see if I can figure out what happened and avoid it next time. But Jordan says $5. Thank you. I'm here for the LVE Revenge Tour. Played pretty well last year. I don't put him in the breakouts. We've seen his best, but I think key starter for sure for Leighton Vander Esch. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Hope you're right, by the way. Remember, folks, to subscribe. Free videos every single day right here on the Cowboys Report. We'll see you guys again tomorrow.